Captain Zexilon had been flying trade routes for 300 years, but he had never seen anything like this. His massive cargo ship, the Prophet's Edge, drifted near the dead system that old maps called Sol. The system was empty now. No life, no signals, just cold planets spinning around a yellow star. "Captain," his navigator called out, "the sensors are picking up something strange." Zexilon turned his reptilian head toward the screen. His crew was made up of saurians like himself. They were good traders, careful and smart. They knew how to stay out of trouble. But this was different. "What kind of strange?" he asked. "Metal signature, big one, moving slowly near the outer edge of the system." The captain felt his scales tighten. This system was supposed to be dead, empty for 20,000 years. Everyone knew the story. The humans had lived here once. They were violent, dangerous. The galaxy had to drive them away before they destroyed everything. "Show me," Zexilon said. The main screen lit up with sensor data. There, barely visible, was the outline of something huge. It was dark and silent, drifting like a ghost between the dead planets. "How big?" the captain asked. "At least a kilometer. Long, maybe more." "The design, Captain, it looks like the old human ships from the history files." Zexilon's blood went cold. Every child in the galaxy knew about human ships. They were weapons of war, built for fighting and killing. But humans were gone. They had been gone for 20,000 years. "Run a full scan," he ordered, "but keep our distance." The crew worked quickly. Zexilon watched the screens fill with information. The ship was definitely human. The shape was wrong for any other species. Too angular, too aggressive, but it was old, very old. "Captain," his communications officer said, "should we report this to the Council?" Zexilon thought about it. The Galactic Council needed to know if human ships were still out here. But what if this was just an old wreck? What if he caused panic? "For nothing? Not yet," he said. "Let's get more information first." Far away, inside the dark human ship, Captain Taeho Kim opened his eyes. The cryo-sleep chamber hissed as it released him. Cold air filled his lungs. His body felt stiff and tired. How long had he been sleeping this time? 6 months? A year? "Welcome back, Captain," a soft voice said. It was the ship's computer. "You have been in sleep for 8 months, 2 weeks, and 3 days. Taeho sat up slowly. Around him, thousands of other sleep chambers lined the walls. Most were still sealed. Most of his crew was still sleeping. Only a few hundred people were awake at any time. They had to save resources. They had to stay hidden. "Any signals?" Taeho asked. "Yes, Captain. We are detecting a saurian trade vessel. They have found us." Taeho stood and walked to the bridge. His ship, the Eternal Vigil, had been his home for decades. He knew every corridor, every room, every sound the engines made. The bridge was quiet. Only Dr. So-Young Park was there, checking the medical systems. She looked up when he entered. "They found us," she said. It wasn't a question. "Yes, a trade ship. Saurian." So-Young nodded. She was the chief medical officer. She had been awake for 2 months, taking her turn to watch over the ship and the sleeping crew. "What do we do?" she asked. Taeho looked at the main screen. It showed the alien ship in the distance, small and fragile compared to the Eternal Vigil. The aliens didn't know what they had found. They thought they were looking at a dead ship. "We watch," Taeho said. "We learn. We wait." The human ship had been drifting at the edge of known space for 20 years. Before that, it had traveled for thousands of years, carrying the last survivors of Earth. They had been driven from their home, hunted across the galaxy, forced to run or die. But they hadn't died. They had survived. They had learned. They had grown stronger. Navigator Hee-Jin Cho came onto the bridge. She was young for a human, only 60 years old. She had been born on the ship during the long journey. "Captain," she said, "the aliens are scanning us. Should we block their sensors?" "No," Tae-ho said. "Let them look. Let them see what they expect to see." The Eternal Vigil was more than just a ship. It was a home, a fortress, a symbol of human survival. Its hull was scarred from old battles. Its weapons were hidden but ready. Its crew had been waiting for this moment for decades. "Sir," Hae-jin said, "they're trying to communicate." On the alien ship, Zexilon was getting nervous. The human ship wasn't responding to their signals. It just drifted there, dark and silent. "Try again," he told his communications officer. "This is the trading vessel Prophet's Edge," the message went out. "We are peaceful traders. Please respond if you need assistance." Still nothing. "Captain," his weapons officer said, "maybe we should leave." "If that's really a human ship?" "It's dead," Zexilon said, but he didn't sound sure. "It has to be dead. Humans are gone." But deep in his mind, old fears were waking up. Stories his grandfather had told him. Tales of human ships that could destroy entire fleets. Humans who fought like demons and never gave up. On the human ship, Tae-ho smiled. The aliens were afraid already, and they didn't even know the truth yet. They thought they were looking at a ghost from the past. They had no idea they were looking at the future. "Wake up, Engineer Dong-hyun-yoon," Tae-ho said, "and wake up, Ambassador Jae-min Kang. It's time." "Time for what, Captain?" So Young asked. "Time to let the galaxy know we're back." The Eternal Vigil had been waiting for 20,000 years. Its crew had been patient. They had learned the alien languages. They had studied their technology. They had watched their wars and their peace treaties from the darkness between the stars. Now, finally, it was time to step into the light. Tae-ho walked to his captain's chair and sat down. Around him, his bridge crew was waking up from their sleep shifts. The ship was coming alive. "Send a message to the alien vessel," he said. "What should we tell them?" Hae-jin asked. "Tell them hello. Tell them we've been waiting to meet them. Tell them humanity has returned." The message went out across space, simple words in perfect Saurian language. Words that would change everything. On the alien ship, Zexilon heard the message and felt his world turn upside down. The dead ship was alive. The ghosts were real. The humans had come back, and they were no longer the same species that had left 20,000 years ago. The message hit the Prophet's Edge like a thunderbolt. Perfect Saurian language. Clear. Calm. Coming from a ship that should have been dead for 20,000 years. "This is Captain Tae-ho Kim of the human vessel Eternal Vigil. We greet you in peace, traders of the Saurian hegemony. It has been a long time since our species have spoken." Captain Zexilon stared at the communication screen. His crew was frozen with fear. Everyone in the galaxy knew what humans were. Killers. Destroyers. The monsters that had to be driven away before they consumed everything. But this voice was calm, polite, almost friendly. "Sir," his communications officer whispered, "what do we do?" Zexilon had to make a choice, run away and report to the council or try to talk to the humans. His trader instincts told him to be careful, but his curiosity was stronger. "Open a channel," he said, "but keep our weapons ready." "This is Captain Zexilon of the trading vessel Prophet's Edge. We thought your species was extinct." A pause. Then laughter. Actual laughter from the human ship. "Extinct?" "No, Captain Zexilon. We just went away for a while. We had some growing up to do." On the human ship, Ambassador Jae-min Kang was putting on his formal clothes. He had been sleeping for 3 years this time. The long sleep was hard on the body, but it kept them alive during the endless journey through space. "How are the aliens reacting?" he asked Captain Tae-ho. "Scared," Tae-ho said, "but curious. The captain is trying to be brave." Jae-min nodded. He was the ship's expert on alien cultures. He had studied every species in the galaxy during their long exile. He knew how to talk to them, how to make them understand. Dr. So-Young Park joined them on the bridge. She had been checking the medical bay, making sure everything was ready. If they were going to make contact with aliens, they needed to be prepared for anything. "Are we really doing this?" she asked. "It's time," Taeho said. "We can't hide forever." Engineer Dong Hyun-yoon came up from the lower decks. His hands were dirty from working on the ship's systems. The Eternal Vigil was old, but it was also much more than it appeared to be. "The ship is ready, Captain," he said. "All systems are working perfectly." "Good. Ambassador, you're up." Jaemin took his place at the communications station. He had practiced this moment for decades, first contact with an alien species after 20,000 years of silence. "Captain Zexilan," he said. "I am Ambassador Jaemin Kang. I would like to speak with you about our return to this part of the galaxy." On the alien ship, Zexilan was sweating. His scales were changing color with stress. An ambassador. The humans had diplomats. This was really happening. What do you want?" he asked. "Just to talk. To explain. Your people remember us as warriors. As destroyers. That was a long time ago. We have changed." "Changed how?" There was another pause. Then the space around. The Eternal Vigil began to shimmer. The human ship was doing something. The Saurian sensors were going crazy. "We are no longer the same species you remember," Jaemin said. "We have learned much during our time away. We have grown. We have become something new." The shimmering stopped. But now there were more ships. Human ships. They had appeared from nowhere. Small escort vessels surrounding their massive flagship. Zexilan's weapons officer was shaking. "Captain, where did they come from? Our sensors didn't detect them." "That's impossible," Zexilan said. But he was looking at the proof on his screens. Dr. So-Young Park activated the medical scanners. She could see the alien crew from across space. Their heart rates were high. They were terrified. "Ambassador," she said quietly. "They're having panic attacks over there." "I know," Jaemin said. "Captain Zexilan, please don't be afraid. We don't want to hurt anyone. We just want to show you that we're not the same humans your history books describe." "How are you doing this?" Zexilan asked. "How did your ships just appear?" "We have had 20,000 years to learn new things," Jaemin said. "We have made improvements to our technology, to ourselves." Communications Officer Subin Lim was listening to all the alien radio chatter. The Saurian ship was sending emergency messages to their government. They were reporting the return of humanity to anyone who would listen. "Sir," she told Taeho, "they're calling for help. Military ships are probably on their way." "Good," Taeho said. "Let them come. It's time the galaxy knew we're back." Ambassador Jaemin continued talking to the scared alien captain. "We know your people helped drive us away. We know you were afraid of what we might become. Your fears were not wrong, Captain. We did become something dangerous, but not in the way you expected." "What do you mean?" "We became dangerous to the old ways, to fear and hatred, to the idea that some species are worth more than others. We spent 20,000 years learning how to be better." Dr. So-Young Park activated the demonstration protocols. It was time to show the aliens what humans had become. "Captain Zexilan," she said, "your ship has some problems. Your life support system is failing. Your engines are running too hot. Your crew is getting sick from the stress." "How do you know that?" Zexilan demanded. "Because we can see it. We can fix it too if you want." Before the Saurian captain could answer, his ship started working better. The air became cleaner. The engines cooled down. His crew stopped shaking. "What did you do?" he whispered. "We helped," So-Young said simply. "That's what we do now." Engineer Dong Hyun was monitoring the repairs. Human technology could reach across space and fix alien machines without even touching them. It was just one of the things they had learned to do. All their systems are working perfectly now, he reported. Ambassador Jamin spoke again. We have a request, Captain Zexilon. We would like passage to the galactic capital. We want to speak to the council. We want to come home. Home? Zexilon asked. The galaxy is our home too. We were born here. We lived here. We were forced to leave, but we never stopped belonging here. The alien captain was quiet for a long time. Finally, he spoke. The council will never accept you. They're too afraid. They remember the old stories. Then we'll have to help them make new stories, Jamin said. Navigator Hyejin was watching the star charts. She had been planning this route her whole life. The journey to the galactic capital would take weeks, even with their improved ships. Sir, she said, if we're really doing this, we should leave soon. The longer we wait, the more ships they'll send to stop us. Captain Tejo stood up. It was time to make the choice that would change everything. Captain Zexilon, he said, we're going to the capital with or without your help, but we would prefer to go in peace. Will you guide us? The Saurian captain looked at his crew. They were all staring at him, waiting for his decision. He could run away and let someone else deal with the humans, or he could be part of history. If I take you to the capital, he said, they'll probably arrest me, or worse. We won't let that happen, Tejo promised. How can you be sure? Because we're not the same species that left 20,000 years ago. We keep our promises now. Zexilon made his choice. All right, follow us. But I want to know one thing first. What? What happened to you out there? What did you become? Captain Tejo smiled. You'll see, Captain. The whole galaxy will see. We became what we always had the potential to be. We became worthy of the stars. The human ships began moving. Silent and graceful, they followed the Saurian trader toward the heart of the galaxy. Behind them, the empty Sol system watched them go. After 20,000 years of exile, humanity was coming home. The news spread across the galaxy like fire. Humans were back. The monsters from the old stories had returned from the dark between the stars. High Counselor Yithnara stood in her crystal tower on the capital world, watching the emergency broadcasts. Her species, the Crystalline Collective, had memories that lasted thousands of years. She remembered the last time humans walked among the stars. How many ships? She asked her aide. We don't know. They appeared from nowhere. Our best sensors can't track them properly. Yithnara's crystal body flickered with worry. The old fears were coming back. 20,000 years ago, humans had been advancing too fast, learning too much, becoming too dangerous. The galaxy had to stop them before they destroyed everything, but they had failed to destroy the humans completely, and now they were back. Call an emergency council session, she ordered. Alert all the fleets. Activate the old defense protocols. Across the galaxy, military commanders were having the same conversation. General Korvash of the United Clans was preparing his warships. Admiral Hextar of the Machine Collective was running battle simulations. Every species remembered the stories. Humans were death incarnate. But on the Eternal Vigil, Captain Tejo Kim was calm. He stood on his bridge, watching the stars pass by as they traveled toward the galactic capital. His crew was awake now, all 50,000 of them. They had been preparing for this moment their entire lives. Captain, Navigator Hyejin reported, we're receiving thousands of messages. Demands to stop, threats, orders to surrender. Ignore them, Tejo said. We have every right to be here. Dr. So-Young Park was monitoring the galactic communication networks. Every species was talking about the human return. Fear was spreading, like a disease. They're really scared, she said. Some worlds are already evacuating their populations. They should be scared, said a new voice. Admiral Wu Jin Lee walked onto the bridge. He was old, even for a human. He remembered the original. Exile. He had been there when Earth burned. Admiral, Tejo said. I thought you were staying in cryo-sleep until we reached the capital. I was, but I wanted to see this. Wu Jin looked at the stars ahead. Do you know what they did to us, Captain? They didn't just drive us away. They tried to erase us, to make us forget who we were. I know the history, sir. History, yes. Dr. Sung-Woo Han has been working on our presentation for the Council. Wait until they see what we really learned out there in the dark. Dr. Sung-Woo Han was in the archives deep in the ship's memory banks. He was humanity's greatest historian. For 20,000 years he had been collecting evidence, proof of what really happened during the Great Exile. Ambassador, he called to Jae-Min Kong. The presentation is ready. They won't be able to deny the truth anymore. The galactic capital was in chaos. Ships were arriving from every corner of known space. Military vessels, diplomatic cruisers, cargo haulers full of refugees fleeing from systems near the human approach route. High Counselor Yithnara called the emergency session to order. Representatives from all 7 galactic species were present. The Great Chamber was filled with fear and anger. The humans have returned, she announced. After 20,000 years, they have broken their exile. Then we must stop them again, General Korvash roared. His species, the United Clans, were warriors. They solved problems with violence. With what? Asked Admiral Hextar. The machine. Collective representative was always logical. We don't know how many ships they have. We don't know their capabilities. They've had 20 millennia to prepare. They're probably weak, said Counselor Velthar of the Saurian hegemony. Living in exile, struggling to survive. They can't be as dangerous as the old stories claim. But even as he spoke, the human fleet was approaching the capital system. 5 ships. Only 5. But they moved like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. Lieutenant Min-Ho Seo was at his security station on the Eternal Vigil. He was watching the alien defense fleets gathering to meet them. Thousands of ships, the largest military force ever, assembled. Captain, he said, they have enough firepower to destroy a star. And we have something they don't, Tejo replied. What's that, sir? 20,000 years of patience. The human ships entered the capital system without slowing down. The alien fleets moved to intercept them, but something strange happened. Every time they tried to target the human vessels, their weapon systems failed. Not damaged, just stopped working. This is Admiral Hextar of the Galactic Defense Force, came a transmission. Human ships, you will stop and surrender immediately. Ambassador Jae-Min Kang responded calmly. This is the human diplomatic mission. We are here to address the Galactic Council. We claim the right of petition under the old laws. You have no rights here. You were exiled. We were driven away illegally. We have proof. We demand a hearing. Dr. Sung-Woo Han activated the evidence files. Suddenly, every screen in the capital system was showing historical records. Real recordings from 20,000 years ago. The truth about the human exile. The council chamber fell silent as they watched. They saw human colonies being attacked, without warning. They saw families separated. They saw children crying as their worlds burned. They saw the systematic destruction of an entire civilization. Lies! General Korvash shouted. Human propaganda! The data has been verified by quantum encryption. Dr. Han's voice came through the speakers. These records cannot be faked. This is what you did to us. High Counselor Yithnara felt her crystal structure dimming with shame. She remembered now, not just the fear of human advancement, but the jealousy, the anger that such a young species was surpassing older ones. Even if this is true, she said, it doesn't change what humans are, what they were becoming. You were too dangerous to be allowed to continue unchecked. Admiral Wu Jin Lee's voice cut through the chamber like a blade. Dangerous? You want to see dangerous? The human fleet suddenly changed. The 5 ships began to shift and transform. They were bigger than they had appeared, much bigger. And they weren't alone. Space around the capital world filled with human vessels, hundreds of them. They had been there all along, invisible to alien sensors. "This is what 20,000 years of progress looks like," Admiral Lee said. "This is what you forced us to become." But then something unexpected happened. The human weapons powered down. The hostile targeting stopped. The ships took defensive positions but did not attack. "We didn't come here for war," Captain Tejo announced. "We came for justice. We came home." Analyst Bo-Ra Jung was monitoring galactic communications from her station. Every species was talking at once. Panic, confusion. Some were calling for a immediate surrender. Others wanted to fight to the death. "Sir," she reported, 17 systems have already declared they'll accept human sovereignty if we spare their populations." "Tell them we're not here to conquer anyone," Tejo said. "Then what do you want?" High Counselor Yithnara asked. Dr. So Young Park stepped forward. For 20,000 years, she had been studying alien biology and psychology. She understood them better than they understood themselves. "We want what we always wanted," she said. "A place in the galaxy, recognition of our rights, compensation for what was stolen from us, and assurance that this will never happen again to any species." "And if we refuse?" General Korvash demanded. Admiral Wu Jin Lee smiled coldly. "Then you'll learn what humans are really capable of when we stop being patient." The silence in the council chamber was absolute. Finally, High Counselor Yithnara spoke. "What are your terms?" "Simple," Ambassador Jamin said. "Full restoration of human citizenship rights, reparations for destroyed colonies, and a new charter that protects all species from the kind of persecution we suffered." "That's all?" "That's all we ever wanted. We're not here for revenge. We're here for justice." The council members looked at each other. They had expected war. They had prepared for destruction. But the humans were offering peace. It was almost too good to be true. "How do we know you won't attack us later?" Counselor Velthar asked. Captain Tejo answered. "Because we spent 20,000 years learning how to be better than you thought we could be. We became worthy of the stars. And worthy species don't start wars without cause." The vote was close. 4 species in favor of negotiation, 3 opposed. But it was enough. High Counselor Yithnara stood up slowly. "The Council recognizes the human petition. Formal negotiations will begin immediately." As she spoke, the human fleet moved into protective formation around the capital world. Not as conquerors, but as guardians. The message was clear. Humanity had returned not to destroy, but to protect. The age of exile was over. The age of redemption had begun. The negotiations had been going on for 3 days. The council chamber was tense. Every species was trying to understand what humanity had become during their long exile. Captain Eun Seo Baek stood before the assembled representatives. Her ship, the Prometheus Rising, was a science vessel. It looked peaceful compared to the military ships, but the technology it contained was beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. "You want proof of our advancement?" she said calmly. "Let me show you." The main screen activated. It showed a dead world in a nearby system. The planet had been destroyed by war centuries ago. Nothing could live there. The atmosphere was poison. The ground was radioactive. "Watch," Yun Seo said. Her ship fired a single beam at the dead planet. But it wasn't a weapon. It was something else entirely. The dead world began to change. The poison clouds cleared. Green plants began growing on the surface. Water appeared in dry riverbeds. "Impossible," gasped Counselor Velthar. "No one can terraform a planet that quickly." "We can," Yun Seo said simply. "We learned how to heal worlds. we can fix what others break. Dr. Miran Kim stepped forward. She was a xenoarchaeologist who had spent her life studying the ruins of ancient civilizations. During the long exile, she had discovered terrible truths about galactic history. "You want to know what we learned out there in the dark?" she said. "We learned that this isn't the first time the galaxy has committed genocide. We found the ruins of 12 different species that were destroyed because they were different, because they were advancing too quickly." She activated holographic displays showing ancient ruins on dead worlds, cities that had been bombed from orbit, entire civilizations erased from history. "The pattern is always the same," Miran continued. "A young species develops new technology. The older species get scared. They form a coalition. They attack without warning. They claim it was necessary for galactic peace. The council members were shifting uncomfortably. These were secrets they had hoped would stay buried forever. "That's ancient history," High Counselor Yithnara said. "We've evolved beyond such actions." "Have you?" asked Jinsu Park. He was a combat specialist, one of the few humans who had fought in the original exile wars. His body was scarred from battles 20,000 years old. "We've been watching you," Jinsu said. "For 20 millennia we've been monitoring your communications, your secret meetings, your weapons development programs. Did you think we didn't know about Project Cleansing Light?" The silence in the chamber was deafening. Project Cleansing Light was supposed to be the most classified military secret in galactic history. General Korvash stood up angrily. "You've been spying on us!" "We've been protecting ourselves," Jinsu replied, "because we knew you hadn't changed. We knew that if we ever returned, you'd try to destroy us again." He activated another display. This one showed secret alien military bases, weapons designed specifically to kill humans, biological agents based on 20,000-year-old human, genetic samples. "You've been planning our extinction for millennia," Jinsu said, "even though you thought we were already dead." Dr. So Young Park laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Did you really think those weapons would work on us? We're not the same species you remember." She rolled up her sleeve, showing her arm. The skin looked normal, but when she pressed a control on her wrist, it became transparent. Inside, instead of blood vessels and bones, there were streams of light and crystalline structures. "We evolved," she said, "biologically, technologically, spiritually. Your weapons are designed to kill the humans of 20,000 years ago. We're not those humans anymore." The alien representatives stared in horror. What were they looking at? Was this still human, or something else entirely? Sovereign Hextar of the Machine Collective leaned forward with interest. As an artificial being, he was fascinated by the fusion of organic and synthetic elements in So Young's body. "Remarkable," he said. "You've achieved perfect integration between biological and artificial systems. How is this possible?" 20,000 years of necessity," So Young replied. "When you're exiled to the dark between stars, you learn to adapt or die. We chose to adapt." Ambassador Jaemin Kang saw that the aliens were becoming more frightened, not less. "This wasn't going the way they had planned. You're missing the point," he said. "Yes, we've changed. Yes, we've become something new. But we didn't become monsters. We became better." "Better?" General Korvash snarled. "You're not even human anymore." "We're more human than we've ever been," Jaemin replied. "We learned to control our violent impulses. We learned to plan for the long term. We learned to forgive." "Forgive?" High Counselor Yithnara asked. "Yes. We forgive you for the exile, for the genocide, for the 20,000 years of fear and loneliness. We forgive you because holding on to anger would have made us into the monsters you thought we were." Jinsu Park wasn't finished with his revelations. "But forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. We know about the other projects, too. The Sleeper, agents planted in human colonies before the exile. The genetic tracking systems designed to find any surviving humans. The kill switches built into every piece of technology we were allowed to buy. He showed more classified information, decades of secret alien operations designed to ensure that if any humans survived the exile, they could be found and eliminated. "You've been hunting us for 20,000 years," Jinsu said, "and we let you think you were succeeding." Captain Tae-ho Kim had been quiet during the revelations, but now he spoke. "The question isn't what we've become. The question is what you're going to do about it." "What do you mean?" Counselor Velthar asked nervously. "You have a choice," Tae-ho said. "You can accept us back into galactic society as equals. You can work with us to build a better future, or you can try to fight us." "And if we choose to fight?" General Korvash demanded. Admiral Wu Jin Lee answered, "That question. Then you'll discover what 20,000 years of evolution really means when applied to warfare." The human fleet around the capital world suddenly doubled in size. More ships appeared from nowhere, as if they had been waiting just outside reality itself. "But we hope you'll make the smart choice," Admiral Lee continued, "because war would be wasteful, and we've learned not to waste things." Sovereign Hextar was running calculations in his artificial mind. The numbers were terrifying. "How many ships do you have?" "Enough," Tae-ho said simply. "Where have you been hiding them?" "We haven't been hiding them. We've been building them. For 20,000 years we've been preparing for this day." Dr. Mi-Ran Kim showed the final piece of evidence. It was a recording from the original human exile. Children crying as they were torn from their families. Elderly humans dying in refugee camps. Young parents watching their worlds burn. "This is what you did to us," she said quietly. "This is the price we paid for being different, for being advanced, for being feared." The recording showed a human child, maybe 5 years old, asking her mother why the aliens were taking them away from their home. The mother had no answer. She just held her daughter and cried. "That child was me," Mi-Ran said. "I survived the exile. I grew up in the dark between stars. I spent my life studying dead civilizations so I could understand what you had done to us." The council chamber was silent. The weight of 20,000 years of injustice was settling on everyone present. "What do you want from us?" High Counselor Yithnara asked finally. "Justice," Ambassador Jamin said. "Not revenge. Justice." "What's the difference?" "Revenge would be doing to you what you did to us. Justice is making sure it never happens again. To anyone." The aliens looked at each other. They had expected demands for territory, for resources, for submission. Instead, the humans were asking for something much more difficult. They were asking for change. "How do we know you won't use your power against us later?" Counselor Velthar asked. Captain Tae-ho smiled sadly. "Because we've already had the power to destroy you for thousands of years, and we chose not to use it. That should tell you everything you need to know about what we've become." The truth was settling over the galaxy like a slow dawn. Humanity hadn't returned as conquerors. They had returned as teachers. The question was whether anyone was willing to learn. The attack came without warning. General Korvash had convinced 6 other species to join him in a secret alliance. They called it the final solution. One last attempt to destroy humanity before the humans became too powerful to stop. The combined fleet was massive. 12,000 ships from 7 different species, the largest military force in galactic history. They surrounded the capital system and prepared to attack the 5 human vessels. "This ends now," General Korvash broadcast to his allies. "We will not make the same mistake our ancestors made. We will finish what they started." On the eternal vigil, Captain Tae-ho Kim watched the enemy fleet take position. His bridge crew was calm. They had been expecting this. "Sir," Lieutenant Minho Seo reported, "they're powering up weapons, all ships." "Any response from the council?" Tae-ho asked. "High Counselor Yithnara is demanding that both sides stand down." "But General Korvash isn't listening." Tae-ho nodded. They had hoped for peace, but some species never learned from history. "Wake up President Dayun Choi," he ordered. "It's time for her to address the galaxy." Deep in the ship, President Dayun Choi was coming out of cryo-sleep. She was the elected leader of all surviving humans. For 20,000 years, she had guided her people through the darkness between stars. Now, finally, she would lead them home. "Status report," she said as she entered the bridge. 12,000 alien ships preparing to attack," Admiral Woo Jin Lee reported. "The hardliners have made their choice." "Then we'll make ours," Da-un said calmly. Fleet Admiral Hyun Jae Kim was aboard his command ship, the New Earth. It was hidden with the rest of the human fleet, waiting for orders. The aliens thought they were facing 5 ships. They had no idea what was really out there. "All ships report ready," he told President Choi. "We can end this in minutes." "No," Da-un said firmly. "We don't end anything. We teach." The alien attack began with a massive barrage of energy weapons, enough firepower to destroy a planet. All of it focused on the 5 human ships. But something impossible happened. The human ships didn't explode. They didn't even seem damaged. The alien weapons simply stopped working. "What's happening?" General Korvash demanded from his flagship. "Why aren't our weapons firing?" His weapons officer was frantically checking the systems. "Sir, the weapons are fine, but the energy is being redirected somehow." The truth was even stranger than they imagined. The human ships were absorbing the attack, converting the destructive energy into something else entirely. "This is Dr. So-Young Park," came a transmission from the Eternal Vigil. "Thank you for the energy donation. We're using it to provide medical aid to your crews." Across the alien fleet, something miraculous was happening. Sick crew members were suddenly healthy. Old injuries were healing. Genetic defects were being corrected. The humans were using the attack energy to heal their enemies. "Impossible," whispered General Korvash. "Not impossible," President Da-un Choi said as her image appeared on every screen in the galaxy. "Just advanced. This is what we learned during our exile. How to turn destruction into healing. How to make war into peace." Council General Annex Thrawn of the Aquatic Federation was watching from his homeworld. He had been against the attack from the beginning. Now he saw that he had been right. "General Korvash," he broadcast to the fleet, "stand down immediately. This is madness." But Korvash wasn't listening. "All ships ramming speed. If we can't shoot them, we'll crash into them." The alien fleet began charging toward the human ships. Thousands of vessels moving at maximum speed. If they hit, the explosions would destroy everything in the system. Fleet Admiral Hyun Jae Kim gave the order he had been hoping never to give. "All ships, reveal positions, full defensive screen, space, N, around the capital world filled with human vessels. Not hundreds, as the aliens had feared. Thousands. The humans had been building ships for 20,000 years, and now the galaxy could see the result. But they didn't attack. Instead, they formed a protective barrier around the alien fleet. When the charging ships tried to ram the human vessels, they found themselves caught in gentle force fields that slowly brought them to a stop. "What are you doing?" General Korvash screamed. "Saving your lives," Admiral Hyun Jae replied, "even though you don't deserve it." Mediator Jun Seo Lee was watching from the diplomatic ship Harmony. He had been trained for this moment. The moment when humanity would have to choose between justice and revenge. "General Korvash," he said calmly, "your attack has failed. Your crews are safe. Your ships are undamaged. You have one chance to surrender with honor." "Never." Korvash snarled, "I'd rather die than submit to humans." "Then die alone," said Admiral Hextar of the Machine Collective. His ships were withdrawing from the attack fleet. "The rest of us choose life." One by one, the other species began standing down. They could see that the humans had overwhelming power, but were choosing not to use it. This wasn't the behavior of conquerors. This was something else entirely. Only General Korvash and a few hundred die-hard ships continued to fight. They fired their weapons uselessly at the human shields. They tried to ram the protective barriers. They screamed threats and curses across the communication channels. Finally, President Da-yun Choi had enough. "General Korvash," she said, "you represent everything that was wrong with the old galaxy. Fear, hatred, the belief that might makes right. We could destroy you easily, but that would make us like you." "Then what will you do?" Korvash demanded. "We'll do what we always do. We'll be better." The human ships released a different kind of energy beam. It didn't hurt anyone. Instead, it showed them the truth. Every being in Korvash's fleet suddenly experienced 20,000 years of human history. They felt the pain of exile, the loneliness of the long journey, the determination to survive and grow. But they also felt something else. They felt forgiveness. They felt the human decision to become healers instead of destroyers, teachers instead of conquerors. General Korvash collapsed in his command chair. The hatred that had driven him for centuries was suddenly gone. In its place was understanding and shame. I'm sorry," he whispered. "We know," President Da-yun said gently, "and we forgive you." The battle was over. But more than that, the old age was over. High Counselor Ethnara called for an immediate vote on the human proposals. This time, it was unanimous. The new covenant was signed that same day. It guaranteed the rights of all species, regardless of their level of advancement. It established protections against persecution and genocide. It created a new galactic government based on cooperation instead of fear. Most importantly, it made humanity the protectors of the galaxy. Not its rulers, but its guardians. The species that would watch over the younger civilizations and make sure the mistakes of the past were never repeated. President Da-yun Choi stood on the observation deck of the Eternal Vigil, looking out at the stars. Earth was visible in the distance, blue and green and beautiful. After 20,000 years, humanity was home. "Any regrets?" Captain Tae-ho asked, joining her at the window. "Only one," Da-un said. "I wish it hadn't taken so long. I wish we could have found a way to do this without the exile, without the pain." "Maybe the pain was necessary," Tae-ho suggested. "Maybe we needed to suffer to learn how to prevent suffering in others." "Maybe," Da-un agreed. "But now it's time for something better." Dr. So-young Park was in the medical bay treating the last of the wounded from the brief battle. There hadn't been many casualties, but every life mattered to the humans now. "How are they doing?" Mediator Jun Seo asked. "They'll be fine," So-young replied. "Physically, anyway. The emotional healing will take longer." "And us? How are we doing?" So-young smiled. "We're home, Jun Seo. After 20,000 years of wandering, we're finally home." The Eternal Vigil began its journey toward Earth, escorted by ships from every species in the galaxy. The ghost ship that had once symbolized humanity's exile was now the flagship of a new age. Behind them, the galactic capital was already changing. The old monuments to war were being replaced with memorials to peace. The secret weapons were being dismantled. The files on extinct species were being opened, so their stories could be remembered and honored. Captain Tae-ho stood on his bridge. One last time as captain of a warship. Tomorrow the Eternal Vigil would be converted into a hospital ship. Its weapons would become medical equipment. Its armor would become shields for refugee ships. "Any final orders, Captain?" Navigator Hyejin asked. Tae-ho looked around at his crew. These people had given up everything for the dream of return. They had sacrificed their youth, their lives, their very humanity in some ways. But they had achieved something incredible. "Set course for Earth," he said. "It's time to go home." The human fleet moved through space like a river of light, carrying hope to every world they passed. The age of fear was ending. The age of wonder was about to begin. And in the dark between the stars, other species that had been driven into exile began to emerge from hiding. They had been watching, waiting, learning from humanity's example. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was exactly what humanity had intended all along.